Well, I'd been working for Jack O'Neill, and I'd been in the Army for 2 years. And when I got out of the Army, it had always been my dream to go surf the North Shore. Steamer Lane at Santa Cruz, or some of those surfing areas up there, were a great training ground for big waves in Hawaii. Well, in those years, obviously, the North Shore was the epicenter of big wave surfing. And it was actually the epicenter of surfing, big and small, anywhere in the world. Hawaii was an exotic trip in those years. I had shaped 6 or 7 boards that were mine, and I took with me, and that's what I sold and lived on for the first 6 months. I had a house right at Cavella Bay, it was called. It was a little place just north of Sunset Beach. That's actually where I started making Hansen surfboards. Tommy Keck, who's a real well-known surf photographer, he loaned me a little building that he had behind the beach shack that he was living in. And he loaned me that building, which I cleaned out and made it into a shaping room and a glassing room, a sanding room, a glossing room, everything. And I started actually making surfboards under my name there in 1960. I was on the cover of Surfer magazine in, I believe it was in 1960 or 1961, surfing at Haleiwa. It was some pictures that John Severson had taken on a pretty nice day at Haleiwa. The year I was in Hawaii. That was a big deal. It went a long ways towards legitimizing my surfboard business. I was very lucky to get on the cover of Surfer magazine that year, right when I was starting my business. At sunset, at times on a really good 10 or 15 foot day, there'd be maybe 6, 7 guys in the water. And I don't ever remember seeing a big crowd in Hawaii at sunset or Waimea. Well, I think that picture was probably taken in December of 1960. That was on Sunset Beach on a good day at Sunset Beach, but that year was the year that Sunset was fabulous in the whole early fall. Grant Roloff was one of the major film manufacturers at the time. That picture was taken by his wife Judy on a day at Sunset Beach when there probably wasn't over 4 or 5 of us out. There's so many different ways they measure waves anymore. If you look at me and start figuring from my size to how many times overhead it is, it looks huge, but I'm sure it wouldn't be called over a 10 or 12 foot wave anymore if you're measuring from the back. Well, on big waves, we were all riding guns. You know, they were pintails with a pointy nose, not very wide, 10 foot or longer, up to 11 feet, a lot of them were. And there wasn't anything like a short board in those days. Even for small waves, everyone was riding 9 foot, 9.6, 10 foot boards. So it was a whole different deal. Short boards really didn't come around until late 60s, early 70s. After spending a few months there, I realized that living on an island was just that, living on an island. There was other things that I wanted to do in life besides live sort of on an island where you're isolated from the rest of the world. And I realized fairly quickly that that was not going to be the lifestyle that I wanted to live for good.